So right now, I want you to join me in welcoming a local educator here in DC, Kenisha Mills. Please give her a hand as she comes. Kenisha Mills.
What's up, Sean? What's up, everybody? What's up, Sabina? Hey. I don't know. I think thinking about this moment, it just makes me think about the decades-long struggle that's happening here in the District of Columbia. You know, we started school on Monday with my 8th graders here in DC, and one of the first things that my students wanted to talk about was Jacob Blake. But they wanted to talk about it from a different standpoint in terms of were the protests over. And I said, well, quite frankly, the protests are just beginning. This is really a new surge in like a 400-year-long struggle for liberation for Black people.
Right.
This is a 400-year-long struggle of talking to them about the foundation of this country, which is built on slavery, oppression, and genocide. It's a 400-year-long struggle of me explaining to my students that from the foundation of this country, it was very embedded, not just for African Americans, not just for the indigenous people, but also for European and white people to have classist oppression. So it wasn't about how much money people have in the bank or how this country was founded. They knew that they wanted to create two Americas. And right now, what we're seeing in terms of the midst of the coronavirus is a reestablishment of those two Americas. One where you have a 1% of millions of people, such as Jeff Bezos, that are profiting from the fact that many of us do not have health care, from the fact that many of us are facing police brutality, from the fact that many of us, quite frankly, are not safe. And then there's the other America. The other America is here. The other America is in my classroom. The other America is the 30 to 40 million people that have lost their jobs in the middle of a pandemic. But those 40 million people didn't have to lose their jobs. They could have been hired to help in terms of keeping our community safe by passing out masks. They could have been hired, like in other countries, to go and sanitize the community so that there wouldn't be an exponential spread of the virus. They could have been hired to take care of the deficit that we're seeing within the healthcare industry. But they didn't do those things. They didn't do those things because they know what they're doing. But I was telling so many people that I'm actually inspired to be here because this is the America that I'm a part of. This is the America where people say I'm gonna fight. This is the America where they say jail killer cops. This is the America where they say no justice, no peace. This is the America where people say we will fight for liberation today, tomorrow, the next day, the next week, the next year until we see it come. And my students were clear. They have no qualms or disagreements or misunderstandings about what's happening. Instead, they're talking about healthcare should be a right. Housing should be a right. Education should be a right. Because they're very clear when they looked at the budget that took place over the summer. The DC budget, they were more willing to pay for schools in the more privileged communities than they were to take care of working class people who are suffering. Because I know some of the schools. I used to live right at Mellon Avenue and MLK, and we didn't have textbooks in the school. But then on the other side of school, they're paying for our teachers independently through the PTO. So where's the equal distribution of wealth? It doesn't exist under capitalism. But we can make it exist here. We can make it happen in DC. We can make it happen all across the United States because a change is coming. A change is coming when people come out and protest every single day because we know what justice looks like. And justice looks like jailing killer cops. Justice looks like retribution for Deon Kay's family. Justice looks like reparations for the Black community. Thank you so much.